Liverpool rocked by shock twists on and off the pitch. Don't miss a second. Subscribe now for instant Reds updates, exclusives, and breaking alerts.
News headline: Champions League knockout draw as it stands and who Premier League teams would face. Premier League clubs are heading into the final match day of the Champions League group phase and are waiting to discover their opponents for the knockout stages, with draw rules determining pairings. The Champions League league phase table is finely balanced ahead of a potentially chaotic night of action on Wednesday. All 36 teams now have a single fixture left as they seek to secure their places in the knockout rounds. And all 18 matches will kick off simultaneously at 8 p.m. on Wednesday. 6 Premier League sides will be in action, with 5 of them presently holding positions in the top 8. The sides who finish in the top 8 receive seeding and progress directly to the round of 16, whilst those placed 9th to 24th must compete in a two-legged playoff to join them. Arsenal are already virtually certain to finish top of the table owing to a commanding goal difference, while Liverpool and Tottenham simply need victories in their final fixtures against Qarabağ and Eintracht Frankfurt to guarantee their last 16 berths. Newcastle, Chelsea, and Manchester City are still fighting to accompany them, and due to the Champions League's new draw structure, we already have an indication of who each side could face, although the table will obviously shift on the final night of league phase fixtures. As things stand, 11th-placed Man City are the sole English club who will need to negotiate a two-legged playoff, in which, according to our projections, they are set to meet either Monaco, 21st, or PSV, 22nd. Victory would see City matched against either the 5th or 6th seed in the last 16. At present, that would mean Premier League rivals Spurs or European Cup holders PSG. Spurs are aware that if they avoid City, the 3 other rivals they appear most likely to encounter in their opening knockout round are Monaco, 21st, PSV, 22nd, or Atletico Madrid, 12th. Meanwhile, Arsenal's prize for topping their group could be a two-legged last 16 clash against one of 4 sides: Galatasaray, 17th, Qarabağ, 18th, Juventus, 15th, or Borussia Dortmund, 16th. Liverpool presently occupy 4th spot, and we forecast they would meet one of the following 4 clubs in the round of 16: Atalanta, 13th, Inter Milan, 14th, Marseille, 19th, or Bayer Leverkusen, 20th. Newcastle are presently 7th in the standings, and as such, could encounter a mouth-watering clash against Barcelona, 9th, if they manage to hold on to their seeding. Other forecast potential adversaries are Sporting CP, 10th, Athletic Club, 23rd, or Olympiacos, 24th. Chelsea occupy 8th position, and so their pool of prospective opponents is identical to Newcastle's. That draw structure means that Arsenal would be on the same side of the draw as Newcastle and Chelsea, making an all-English quarterfinal against either side a possibility. Alternatively, 5-time winners Barcelona could be waiting in the last 8. 6-time champions Liverpool could be matched against either Man City or Tottenham in the quarterfinals, as things stand, while PSG or Atletico are other formidable contenders. With one fixture remaining for each side, the standings could still shift considerably. However, Arsenal looks certain to claim 2nd place, whilst Liverpool, given their goal difference, are unlikely to climb higher than 3rd. Tottenham can finish 3rd at best, whereas Newcastle and Chelsea must avoid defeat away at PSG and Napoli, respectively, to secure top 8 finishes. City need to overcome Galatasaray at home and hope other results fall in their favor. Topping the league phase didn't benefit Liverpool last season as they came up against PSG in the last 16 and were knocked out. But under a rule change this year, Arsenal are guaranteed home advantage in the 2nd leg of every knockout tie they contest, provided they finish top of the table.
News headline: Richard Hughes tipped to deliver Liverpool's spectacular transfer coup, as Xabi Alonso wants 4 elite signings if he takes over from Arne Slot. With doubts continuing over Slot's future, the likelihood of the Reds making any major signings in the final days of the winter window are fairly slim, with the main focus now switching towards the summer. While that quandary remains over who will actually be at the helm when the summer window opens, one reporter claims that Liverpool will be in the mix to sign an incredible talent. Liverpool tipped for stunning Morgan Rogers raid. One player being tipped to make the move to Merseyside is outstanding Aston Villa and England playmaker Morgan Rogers. The 23-year-old has had an incredible season so far for a Villa side, who are right in the middle of the Premier League title battle, having scored 7 goals and added 5 assists. Capable of playing on the left wing as a false 9 or in his more natural number 10 role, Rogers would be an incredible signing for a Liverpool side who could look to revamp their attack next season due to continued doubts over Mo Salah's future and talk of Cody Gakpo also being moved on. Despite only recently penning a new Villa Park contract until 2031, there have been whispers of the Reds making a move for the Three Lions star, and transfer journalist Ben Jacobs believes there is more chance that Hughes moves for a Rodgers-type figure over Crystal Palace star Adam Wharton. Writing in his Give Me Sport newsletter, Jacobs stated, "I sense if a midfielder is to arrive at Anfield this year, it will more likely be one with goals output who can also play in wide areas. Morgan Rogers is the type of profile some within Liverpool appreciate. His ability to play multiple roles will certainly be a juicy prospect to whoever is in charge at Anfield, and there was certainly interest from Liverpool in Rogers last summer. Qualifying for the Champions League again would at least allow Villa to try and keep clubs at bay when it comes to interest in their top star, but failure to do so is likely to lead to one of the transfer chases of the summer." Alonso plotting spectacular Liverpool overhaul. Ambitious reports in Spain claim that Liverpool managerial target Xabi Alonso has made plans to sign 4 elite signings this summer if he gets the nod to replace Arne Slot at Anfield, while 5 big-name Red stars are also set to get the boot. Reports emerging over the last few days claim that FSG has seen enough off the back of the 3-2 defeat at Bournemouth, while our very own Fraser Fletcher confirmed on Monday that the Reds have held talks with club icon Xabi Alonso over a sensational return on Merseyside. And now, Spanish outlet Fiquejes, which can be highly speculative, reports that Alonso has made it clear he wants to offload Ibrahima Konate, Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, Cody Gakpo, and club legend Mohamed Salah in a major call. Any monies gained from those transfers will then fund sensational moves for Mickey van de Ven, Michael Olise, Bradley Barcola, and Adam Wharton. Deals that could set the club back a combined £380 million, €440 million, or $520 million. There's plenty of moving parts there, although if there's any semblance of truth in the report, then the Reds could be for a sensational summer under new boss Alonso. More Liverpool news. Bizarre Tsimikas approach. Carragher calls out Slot. Liverpool have received a loan approach for a player who doesn't have a long-term future at Anfield, though why the inquiry stands virtually no chance of succeeding has been revealed. Kostas Tsimikas is the player in question, who is currently halfway through his loan at Roma, a deal that the Reds are looking to end in order for Andy Robertson to complete his proposed move to Tottenham. Robertson and Tsimikas' futures are tied together, which makes it all the more bizarre to discover Besiktas believed they could spring a surprise by bringing Tsimikas to Turkey. Meanwhile, Jamie Carragher insists Arne Slot won't have a leg to stand on at Liverpool if one thing happens, amid the Reds contacting Xabi Alonso and club legend Steven Gerrard saying yes to returning to Anfield.
News headline: 5-man Liverpool fire sale to follow Xabi Alonso appointment as players fighting for futures revealed. The Liverpool squad now has several players fighting for their futures amid the prospect of a managerial change in 2026. Arne Slot led Liverpool to the Premier League title last season, but could feasibly lose his job this year after overseeing a feeble title defense. As confirmed by Team Talk's Fraser Fletcher, Liverpool are already putting feelers out to Xabi Alonso as a potential successor to Slot. While at Bayer Leverkusen, Alonso was previously a candidate to replace Jurgen Klopp before Liverpool appointed Slot, and his recent departure from Real Madrid has put him back on the scene as an option. We've already looked at the signings Liverpool might need to make for Alonso, but what about the players in their current squad that could be at risk of leaving if he takes charge? Cody Gakpo. One of the players whose standards have frustratingly dropped this season, Gakpo would be at even greater risk if Alonso was to revive the 3-4-2-1 formation he used to operate with at Bayer Leverkusen. Florian Wirtz would be an obvious candidate to play in one of the 2 attacking midfield spots after successfully doing that under Alonso's guidance in Germany. Dominic Szoboszlai, one of Liverpool's best players this season, the best of them all, in fact, by many accounts, would be another. With less room for natural wingers, given the width would be provided by wingbacks in that system, Gakpo's future could come into question. Even if Alonso was to implement more of a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 shape instead, Liverpool could still seek an upgrade on the left wing if the Dutchman's form doesn't improve. Players like PSG's Bradley Barcola have been mentioned as possible targets, for example. Ibrahima Konate. Konate is approaching the end of his contract with Liverpool and has committed too many mistakes this season to be certain of a renewal on the kind of salary he might imagine. In fairness to the Frenchman, he does boast one of the best pass completion rates within the Liverpool squad this season, and Alonso does like his defenders to be capable in possession. But Konate isn't providing enough security to Liverpool defensively, and his position is already standing out as one they want to upgrade. Liverpool have neglected the centre-back position for too long when it comes to new signings, and releasing Konate might be the sensible decision to allow them to regenerate. Alexis McAllister. When Liverpool revitalized their midfield in 2023, McAllister made the quickest impression of all their additions there. But 2024-25 was Ryan Gravenberch's year instead, and 2025-26 is Szoboszlai's, with McAllister seeming to fall off the pace. The Argentine star is only 27 years old, but appears to be losing the mobility that could help him keep his place at Liverpool. Coincidentally, and like Konate, Alonso's former club Real Madrid have previously been linked with McAllister, although recent performances have seen those links diminish. Connor Bradley. Bradley is currently injured, so won't be able to make his case for a Liverpool future for a while. He has stood up to the challenge on a few occasions, but a wing-back role might not suit him, especially when starting right-back Jeremy Frimpong made such a strong impact playing for Alonso before at Leverkusen. Bradley turns 23 in the summer, so still has time to prove himself after his injury, but Liverpool could do with shoring up the right-back position, and it remains to be seen where the Northern Irishman would fit in with those plans. Wataru Endo. Endo has been a reliable supporting figure in the Liverpool squad, but his time at the club may be running out. Slot hasn't given him much game time over the past 18 months, and that's unlikely to change for a new manager, given the stage of his career Endo is at. While it's important to retain some experience, the fact that Endo's contract expires in 2027 may make him vulnerable to a summer sale. In his place, and McAllister's if he goes, Liverpool could look to secure a new holding midfielder that can dictate play in a style not too dissimilar to how Alonso himself used to.
News headline: Alonso targets 4 world-class signings to kickstart Liverpool revolution, with 5 big names sold. Report. Liverpool managerial target Xabi Alonso has outlined bold plans to sign 4 world-class stars this summer if he gets the nod to replace Arne Slot as manager, while 5 big-name Red Stars will be told to pack their bags, according to ambitious reports in Spain. The Reds' title defense has not gone to plan, and they currently sit 14 points adrift of table-topping Arsenal, putting Slot's job in serious jeopardy. After a summer spree that saw Liverpool splashing out £440 million, €505 million, $600 million on strengthening their squad, the fact that they face a battle to even qualify for the top 4 this season has seen enormous pressure heaped on the Dutchman's shoulders. Growing reports over the last few days have suggested FSG has seen enough, and our correspondent Fraser Fletcher confirmed on Monday that Liverpool had held talks with club icon Xabi Alonso, who recently left his role as Real Madrid manager. With Slot's position increasingly perilous, and with Alonso now seemingly on course to take over at the season's end, speculation has begun to surface over what a Liverpool side under the Spanish tactician will look like. And according to ambitious reports from Spanish outlet Fichejas, Alonso has made it clear he wants to offload 5 big-name Liverpool stars to free up funds and squad spaces for the most ambitious of summer overhauls, and with 4 world-class targets having also been identified. Per the report, Alonso plans to show Ibrahima Konate and, surprisingly, Ryan Gravenberch the door, the former, of course, looking likely to leave as a free agent this summer. It's claimed Alexis McAllister and Cody Gakpo will also be moved on, while the most painful departure of all will be that of Mohamed Salah, who the club will decide to cash in on with a year left on his deal.
Per the report, it's claimed Alonso wants to free up funds to bring in 4 world-class stars to build his side around, and with Liverpool ready to go all out to sign Mickey van de Ven, Michael Olise, Bradley Barcola, and Adam Wharton, deals that could set the club back a combined £380 million, €440 million, $520 million. What next for Arne Slot? 3 sources have their say. As for Slot, it seems the Dutchman is on borrowed time now at Anfield, and with Jamie Carragher having named exactly why and when he thinks the axe will fall on his Anfield reign. Backing up what Fletcher has told us about Alonso, Sky Sports reporter Alan Irwin insists that sources close to the 44-year-old have indicated that the former Liverpool midfielder would be more than happy with a return to the club. Irwin said, "It does seem strange that a Liverpool manager who won the league for them so convincingly is under pressure, but this club has very high standards indeed, and the Liverpool hierarchy may well be considering their options. Xabi Alonso's name is constantly mentioned in these parts, and sources close to him indicate he would be more than happy with a return to the club." Liverpool FC expert and journalist David Lynch, however, is adamant that Slot will not be axed mid-season, with the big managerial change likely at the season's end, in an effort to minimize disruption through the current campaign. They clearly want to get to the end of the season with Slot if they can. They don't want to make a mid-season managerial change, because who do you get as the interim? It would clearly be better to make the managerial change in the summer. I think his future's already set, to be honest. It's been so pronounced, the decline, for such a long time. It is only a case of getting to the summer, albeit if he starts to lose 6-7 on the bounce again, he will get bulleted, because they'll feel forced to go for an interim. They don't want to change, they really would prefer not to. Then it's kind of go for a manager then, in the summer. People are talking about go and get Xabi Alonso, but he's not going to want to walk into a job now, so it'd have to be an interim, and I don't think there's a great deal out there. Latest Liverpool news. Robertson move not yet dead. Winger deal terminated. Meanwhile, the Reds are reportedly battling Bayern Munich for the signature of a top Feyenoord defensive talent. Elsewhere, while much has been made about Harvey Elliott's lack of action for Aston Villa, it emerged on Monday that the Reds have terminated another winger's loan deal, though the player in question looks unlikely to play for Slot anytime soon. And finally, sources have revealed how Andy Robertson's move to Tottenham Hotspur might not be officially dead yet, with several moving parts key to what would be a surprise transfer resurrection. News headline: Jamie Carragher says Liverpool cannot cope in 3 areas in damning Arne Slot verdict. Liverpool is in danger of missing out on Champions League qualification for next season after slipping to 6th in the Premier League table under struggling boss Arne Slot. Jamie Carragher thinks Arne Slot's Liverpool players are struggling to cope with set pieces, counter-attacking soccer, and low blocks. Liverpool icon Carragher delivered his damning verdict following the team's 3-2 defeat to Bournemouth on Saturday. The Reds fought back from 2 goals down on the South Coast, only for Cherries winger Amin Adli to score a last-minute winner from a throw-in. The result leaves Liverpool 6th in the Premier League table, 2 points behind a resurgent Manchester United in 4th. More worryingly, the Reds, who convincingly won the Premier League title last season, are just 3 points above Sunderland in 11th. Carragher was asked about the pressure Slot is under during an appearance on Monday Night Football. He said, "I think some of the criticism and the disrespect he's had from supporters is far too much, considering they won the league title last season. But if he doesn't qualify for the Champions League, he doesn't have a leg to stand on. Liverpool can accept they are not going to win the league or challenge this year. We accept it. Not good enough, but we accept it. Once you start seeing what Manchester United have done in the last couple of weeks, once you start seeing Chelsea, and you see where Liverpool could finish outside the Champions League positions, I really fear for them. United and Chelsea have both just won back-to-back league games after appointing a new manager. Michael Carrick has replaced Ruben Amorim at Old Trafford, while Liam Rosenior has succeeded Enzo Maresca at Stamford Bridge." Carragher added, "Once you start fearing Champions League qualification for next season, that's when you have a completely different proposition when you are talking about the manager's job. not making the Champions League as defending Premier League champions, spending $450 million, and having the highest wage bill in the Premier League, which is the biggest determining factor normally about where you finish in the league, I think you have serious questions to ask. Carragher then made his cannot cope argument. He continued, "The real worry I have for Liverpool in actually qualifying for the Champions League is if I think of the three big things you come up against in the Premier League, it's set pieces and long throws. It's counter-attacking football for and against, and if you are a top team like Liverpool, it's coming up against low blocks. Liverpool can't cope with any of them. We're seeing a team not suited for the Premier League. When we see them in Europe, are set pieces and long throws as important? No. Is counterattacking important? It is always important, but not as much in Europe, and no one plays a low block in Europe, so it suits Liverpool. They can beat Real Madrid, they can go away to Inter Milan and win, they can go away and win at Marseille, get into the top 8 and into the knockout round. I don't think this team is equipped for the Premier League. The Reds can make sure of a top 8 finish in the Champions League when they face Karabakh at Anfield on Wednesday. They're back in Premier League action on Saturday when Eddie Howe and Newcastle travel to Merseyside." News headline: Ole Gunnar Solskjaer set to return to work at Premier League club after Man United snub. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was linked with the interim manager's job at Manchester United before the club appointed Michael Carrick. After interim manager Michael Carrick continued his fast start at Manchester United on Sunday, another contender for the job has a different task at hand. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was linked with an Old Trafford return a little over 4 years since his sacking, but the club ultimately opted for Carrick. That decision has immediately borne fruit, with Carrick overseeing Premier League wins against Manchester City and Arsenal. Solskjaer remains without a managerial job since leaving Besiktas earlier this season, but will be keeping a close eye on one of his former club's rivals this week. The Norwegian has taken on a new role this season, serving as a UEFA technical observer for the Champions League. The role will take him back to England this week, with Solskjaer in position for Liverpool's match at home to Karabakh. He'll be watching another under-pressure manager, with Arne Slot feeling the heat after Liverpool's weekend defeat at Bournemouth saw them end the game week out of the top 4. Things are more promising for the Merseyside club in Europe, though, where a win would ensure they avoid an extra playoff round by finishing in the top 8 in the Champions League table. Solskjaer is one of more than 20 current and former players and coaches entrusted by UEFA for the technical observer role. Others include former Tottenham manager Ange Postecoglou, ex-England boss Gareth Southgate, and current Portugal manager Roberto Martinez. Instead of just watching the game for a specific reason, in my capacity as a national team coach, you are watching it in a more holistic way and appreciating the development of the game and the competition itself, Martinez said of the role. It could be different types of performance from young players, for example, or the way the competition is getting tougher physically and cuter tactically with the new trends within the competition. Per UEFA's description, during each game, the designated UEFA technical observer collaborates with UEFA's performance analysis team to gather video and data. The UEFA technical observers receive footage from various angles, including broadcast, tactical, and high-behind views, which they can review either live at the stadium or remotely. Each observer is also tasked with selecting the player of the match for each game they're assigned to, while the group will come together to determine the player, young player, team, and goal of the season. Paris Saint-Germain star Ousmane Dembélé was named Player of the Season in 2024-25, with Manchester City midfielder Rodri in 2022-23, the last player to win the award while playing for an English club.